Hello everybody and welcome to a new series. I'm a little bit ill right now, so to save my voice a little, we're going to be playing some Surviving Mars. Now, I'm not the best at this game, so forgive my mistakes. They're going to happen, but overcoming those mistakes and powering our way through will be all part of the game. So, now, whilst I'm not that good at the game, I have played it a little bit, so I want to start off with a terraforming initiative, and I would like to go with the geoengineer. So we're going to be looking to completely terraform Mars and make it inhabitable for normal people. Now, I'm not going to change anything here. I actually quite like the start. However, I will change the name of the rocket to Green Arc. And we're going to start at Aonia Alpha. Excuse me. Yes. As you can probably hear, I have a bit of a chest infection, so we're taking a bit of a break from Neon White so I don't have to do as many voices. Mission Control Log 1. Welcome to Mars. Everybody at Mission Control is impatient to see the rocket touching down and unloading its precious cargo. Our remotely controlled eyes and hands on the red planet. The drones and rovers. Our goal is to secure a foothold for humanity by building the first Martian dome. This daunting endeavor will allow the brave pioneers, the founders, to settle on Mars and prove that the colony is sustainable. But until then, we have to make sure that the colony has enough construction resources, water, oxygen, and power. Mission sponsor, Terraforming Initiative, Commander Profile, Geoengineer. And now, we have to scan the area. So, scan here. Let's scan here. Scan here. And let's scan here. Right, so we have a couple of interesting starting bits around our location, but the main thing we're going to want to start off with is these two concrete deposits. Before we continue, we're also going to need to set up some active research. Now that we're doing a terraforming initiative, the first thing we're going to want is mainly stuff from this tree, but we're also going to need to get a couple of bits and bobs from the other trees as well. So I would say we start with a farm. When we do get colonists on the planet, it'll make it easier to get a hold of food. And we'll start by scanning this area. Fast forward it. Right. First thing we're going to want to build is concrete extractor. We'll build it here. Then we're going to want to build this in range of both deposits. And then we're also going to want to get some more power on the go. Luckily we have some pre-built Stirling generators, which are quite handy as they basically don't break down until you open them. So you can keep them in their closed setting and they'll generate 10 power each for basically no maintenance cost, which can be quite handy. Next up, we're going to want a concrete depot and a small dumping site here, and we're going to want to wire this up to our drone hub so it is connected to the power grid. Then we're also going to want to place down a universal depot by the drone storage. This allows us to empty the rocket, and it also means that when we build more drone hubs, we can centralize drone hubs around these universal depots. To make sure that every material we need is always there. And I forgot to start the timer. This episode, basically I'm going to record for about 40 minutes and edit it down, but the episodes will be no longer than 40 minutes, as with my voice being the way it is, I want these episodes to be a lot shorter. Now that we have concrete done, let's start looking into some other stuff. Specifically, we're going to want to try and find water. Now, I've played on this map before, but I also know that the game randomly generates some resources, but if I'm not mistaken, there is definitely some water here. So, once we finish scanning here, we'll build down to this area. For that, we're going to want some sensor towers. Say about 3 of them. Watching our little drones work. Against the beautiful backdrop that is Mars. The Martian Trail. Earth HQ has just approved a new project to expand our Martian operations. The endless stream of scientific data flowed in from the Red Planet is too much to be handled even by the largest scientific organization alone. The top brass of our sponsor have just made the decision to sell the scientific data to third parties by setting up remote transmission facilities on Mars. We have discovered the new special project, Contract Exploration Access. It can be completed multiple times to gain funding, which will be quite helpful for us because the terraforming initiative is a bit of a hard start. Teaching me how to open the build menu. But the terraforming initiative is a bit of a hard start, as it starts with not much in the way of money and not much in the way of resources. However, we're going to resupply with a explorer, as an explorer will be quite handy for getting these little anomalies and stuff like that I found around the place. hopefully the new supply pods and the new rovers will be able to contribute to our scientific advancements. Getting through these technology trees is going to be very important to us later on. But for now, my main focus is getting this rocket back home. Let's move you over here, so when the rocket does take off, it's outside of the rocket's dust cloud.
Up close and personal on Crystal Healing Lifestyle Radio, listeners. So lie down on your couch, snuggle up with your therapy animal, and let's dive into today's topic: airlock terror. I know, it's a tough one. The doors start to close, and you could swear that somebody forgot something very important. Then you can't catch your breath, and everything starts sounding kind of muffled, and then the world goes all dark, and you know it's about to be the end. But you know, everything turns out just fine. And you're all right after all. It's just a normal, everyday thing. And when you think about it, it's a little silly if you faint every time you take out the garbage.
Yeah, that's one of the things that confuses me though about people wanting to terraform Mars. The planet's basically inhospitable in all ways, shapes and forms. Like, it's widely agreed upon in the scientific community that Mars isn't the best place to set up future habitation for humanity. I mean, well, not widely considered, but it's pretty well accepted that basically Mars is too difficult to live on and isn't worth the effort.
Though initially fruitless, we recalibrated the operating spectrum for our scans and voila.
The unusual chemical composite of the regolith near the anomaly site effectively shielded it from our data gathering. As we repurposed and improved our scanning technology based on these new findings, we are rewarded with an unexpected surprise effect: large water deposit discovered. Which means we've got one of these. Just south of range of our drone hub, which means we're going to need to build another one here. Then we're going to want to hook this up to the power grid. So. And then once she's on the power grid, we can start looking to extract this water and use it for refueling our rocket, keeping our dome's life support active.
Anomaly analyzed.
And with that sorted, we have a working drone system. So the next thing we're going to want is a water extractor here. We're also then going to want to hook it up to our grid. Now we might run into a few power issues, so a lot of people like to start off with solar panels, but because we're working with the terraforming initiative, certain uses of the atmosphere, temperature, water, and vegetation are going to affect that. So it's better to build wind turbines now, because they'll only get better in the future, whilst if we build solar panels now, they'll only get worse in the future. The only thing is, the wind turbines will cost a lot more in the way of upkeep. So we'll only be building the wind turbine rather than the large wind turbine to save ourselves on machine parts. Another bonus is the solar panels do not work at night, so you need to build batteries to keep up, but with the wind turbines, they run 24/7. Right. First things first, let's begin work on one of these, and then we're going to need to go into life support, and we're going to need to build a water tower, which we will place, let's say here. Pipe this up from here to here. Well, there's another issue. We're going to need to build the power over here in range of this. As unfortunately this drone hub has run out of electricity, which is going to make it more difficult for us to do most of the basic things we need to do. As our little drones work their magic. And now, our wind turbine is operational. Still scanning some of the regions, and we have an unscanned anomaly. Now we also have an incoming amount of water, which means we can begin work on production our fuel refineries. Now, I'm going to start my first dome up here and expand out to these points later on. Now we need to decide why we're going to scan next. For now, if we're building around this area, let's scan this area to give us a bit more in the way of space. We'll hook the fuel refinery up to the power grid, and then we'll put down a depot for fuel next to it. We're also going to need to go into life support and hook this up to our water system so that we can begin refueling the rocket and get it ready to go home. Fuel will also lay the foundations for
research complete.
Our polymer factories at a later date. But we now have farms under the go. Next thing I'm going to want is decommission protocol, as it basically allows us to completely tear down buildings we don't want and get rid of them completely, freeing up the space, which is quite handy as just a basic feature. So, once this is hooked up, begin fueling for this. So now, luckily, one thing the Terraforming Initiative does start off with is a rover. So So the first thing we're going to want to do is also flatten out the land from here to here. And send the RC rover to go give them a hand. Seems we're also running a little low on power again. So, time for our second wind turbine. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this will also produce waste rock. So, we're going to want storage, a small dumping site, by this. And means we can unload our stored waste rock here. Now, we have water, so let's begin work on oxygen. So we're going to want a moxie generator and an oxygen tank. Hook them up to the pipe network and hook the moxie up to our power network.
Sector scanned.
And we have another sector scanned over here, which reveals a bit more of the area. Let's expand there, and let's also get the RC Explorer to go scan this anomaly and then return. It's a good idea to get it to come back without you having to tell it, as it means if it gets damaged out in the field, it's not stranded until we get an RC commander. And now we have oxygen. So we can now look into building a dome. Now, some people can start off building basic domes. Some people start off building microdomes. I'm going to start with a basic microdome. As they're cheap and easy to take care of. The only downside to them is space, but for our purposes, that's fine. Because the problem with the bigger dome is they cost polymer, which we are lacking right now. We build a bigger dome, it will basically run all of our polymers into the ground. The smaller dome is what we can afford. This rocket is slowly being fueled up as well.
Sector scanned.
Another sector is being scanned. We'll scan this one next. Now, as these waste rock areas get more full, we'll have to run into issues with storage. Some people build more storage spots. I prefer to use the landscaping to build rock formations. They're good uses of the storage rock, and overall, they work quite well, just to get rid of it. But yeah, as I said, Mars is one of those weird places that always get depicted as somewhere where we'd like to make habitable, but if I'm not mistaken, one of Jupiter's moons, Europa, would be easier to habitate on.
Select a sector to scan.
Oh, we've also got the Philosopher's Stone, the stones.
We tried to scan one of the sectors, our sensors went blind. Upon closer inspection, we discovered that the source of the interference was a mysterious crystalline entity. It's huge. How could we have missed it?
The dark crystal is just standing there, refracting the light in a peculiar way. Intense energy vortices around the entity cause vibrations in the atmosphere and give birth to electrostatic dust devils. Some of our scientists propose that the crystal have energy manipulating properties, and so were able to obfuscate their presence in the area despite their proportions. Of course, all of this is just a hypothesis. We need more research to reach a conclusion. Effect: a peculiar alien crystal has been revealed in Sector G6. The sector can't be scanned for now. The crystalline entity tech has become available. Research it to gain more insight on the mystery. So, Sector G6. We can't scan it. Oh well. G6. Oh, we already have scanned it. Oh well, I guess we haven't. It's just locked us off from us. Well, until then, let's explore this sector. Whilst we wait for this dome to be built. Luckily, this water deposit should last us a while, so we should also be able to build a second one of these, maybe up here. And then I'm going to connect them up so we can have the space of a full dome, like a basic dome, without using any polymers at all. Just gotta wait for that to be finished. Whilst we do, let's set up another concrete extractor over here with a dumping site and a concrete deposit. Then we need to go into power and hook it up to the power grid, like so. And we're also going to need electricity to maintain that. So let's also put down another wind turbine over here. Now we don't want to build too far out because we're going to want to start mining this underground rare metals and the underground metals here. But yeah, for now, we're just going to have to wait for this to get hooked up to the power and for our power to increase. I was going to say we'll increase the priority on this, but it seems drones have already got it working. And this should mean we'll get more concrete produced for the dome faster. The rocket is more than half refueled. Check our tech. The decommission protocol is 27% done, so it's getting there, but it's slow going at first. Let's move you back over here. Our waste rock
Sector
deposits
scanned.
are getting a little more full. We've scanned another sector over here. Let's begin work on scanning this. Another bonus to these towers is they extend the advanced warning for disasters, which is helpful in case of any meteor strikes or dust storms or anything like that. All of our machines are working away, getting the rocket refueled. Our drone loads over here are heavy, so maybe giving them more drones in the future might be a good idea as well. Until we get it down to a medium load. When we send the rocket off, it will give us a bunch of drones for these two sites as well, which will be good for just keeping our base running. I do believe our dome is nearly done.
Sector scanned.
Another sector has been scanned. Now I'd like to look into extending up to here, so let's look into scanning those areas. We also have a new anomaly, which we will scan in a moment. For now though, we'll watch our dome get built. And our first dome is ready. Let's use the RC Explorer to go scan this anomaly and then return home whilst we get this dome operational. So it's going to need life support, first things first, and it's also going to need power.
Lifestyle Radio, bringing you the latest on living life large. Mars style. We're going to be enjoying some great music today. Sue Potts with you
So?
right on through to the twilight hour.
And we're also going to need more power generation, which we shall set up over here. And with our race rock becoming a little bit high, we can also build a nice decorative rock next to the dome. And our rocket is also ready to launch. So we can send Green Arc back home. Some of our drones did get caught in the blast, but that's fine. Now this has 6 to it. and this has 5 to it. So they now each have medium loads. But with the dome set up, first things first, let's give it a skin that I like. I quite like this skin. And we'll rename it to Greenwood. This dome will be in charge of our food output. So we're also going to want some basic services in here. So first things first, we're going to want life support. Now we have the large farm, which I'm tempted to build here. It costs a little more concrete than the hydroponic, but the hydroponic also costs polymers and metal. This is just an easy building to maintain. The only downside is it's quite large, but it's cheaper on metals and polymers and stuff than its other options. So then we're also going to want some dome services, such as a security station. We're going to want a medical outpost. We're going to want a diner, like so. Then we're going to want a small set of alleyways here. Once these are built,
Anomaly found.
we'll know how many jobs.
The odd composition of the debris collected from the anomaly site has proven to be an uncrackable riddle for our science team.
The experts all agree that the materials discovered at the anomaly site could not originate on Mars, but they are also in agreement that they are not the remains of a meteorite or a contaminant introduced from our rockets. For now, it looks like the origin of the debris will remain a mystery. A wise man throughout history said more than once, the more we know, the more we realise that we don't know. A genius applicant is available on Earth. Nothing like a good puzzle. So, we have quite the journey ahead of us. But for now, let's just continue building our little dome.
Sector scan.
And we're starting to work our way up into the mountains. We're looking a little low on machine parts and electronics and polymers, but that is a problem we can solve a little later on with resupplies. So before that moment, we'll put a launch pad. Oop, not there. We're going to want the launch pad here. Our water's still working well. Getting water from deep beneath the surface of Mars. Going underground might actually provide us with a few options in avoiding some of the more ecological disasters that we're going to cause by introducing atmosphere, temperature, water, and vegetation to the planet. The planet has to get worse before it can get better. lower the priority on the small rock. As our waste rock is down by quite a bit, so we can focus more on the basics. We're also going to want to set this dome so births are forbidden when full, and we're not going to use passages for work, as when colonists have to work in domes that are not their home dome, it can provide them a debuff, and so we're going to be building domes specifically for the jobs that are within them. Farm is officially up and running. The crops we're going to be growing here are wheat, then we're going to want potatoes, then we're going to want soybeans. The workload on this is getting heavy, so we're going to need to do something about that in the future. But our dome is coming along nicely. Our machines are all working and toiling away, and we've officially gotten the basics for our dome set up, meaning we now have 15 jobs. So, if we go into home and education, we're going to want to build living quarters, cost next to nothing to maintain but only provide 4 space for residents. These cost 1. So we'll build a big one here, and then we'll build a small living quarters here. also beginning work on our landing pad. With the landing pad working, we can order a resupply rocket, or specifically a cargo rocket, to go and help us bolster our supplies. But that is the end of today's episode. So I want to thank you all for watching, and thank you all for putting up with my sick voice. Hopefully, we'll be able to expand a little further on our dome and expand a little further on our base in general. Thank you for watching.